Hello everybody, this is Maniac for Bricks, and I'm here again with another LEGO Thoughts video. If you think that this is a live stream, I will have to correct you on that. I'm just using the screen share function of Google Hangouts on air in order for me to make this video with good quality and as quickly as possible. So today we're looking at Bionicle 2015, and you gotta know I'm excited for this because I was an old Bionicle fan and I'm happy to see it return. I'm really pleased with how it looks, and we'll get into those thoughts right now. All the images here and the information that we know of is provided by brickset.com. So if there's anything beyond that point, I don't really know about it, but let's take a closer look at what we have. The first thing I wanted to bring up was this Comic-Con exclusive from New York Comic-Con in October. This is kind of interesting that they have this little image where we get to see part of the Toa, and we also get to see the Mask of Creation in the middle. We also get to see here, this is an exclusive Tahu mask. I can't give any thoughts about this because this is an exclusive item and it's already past distribution. There's only 100 of them made, but it is a cool, nice, promotional item that we get to have before Bionicle starts. So now we'll get into the sets. First one we have is set number 70789, Onua, Master of Earth. And I think because Bionicle has been away for, I think it's about 4 years, maybe. It's about 4 years or so since Bionicle was on the scene. They kind of had to reintroduce it by calling them Masters instead of Toa. And they're probably, I'm thinking by that logic, they're going to dumb down some of the language of Bionicle. I mean, in the original series of Bionicle, it was a lot of unique words you had to understand about Zahunga, Matoran, Rahi, Toa, let's see, Baraki, Toa Metru, Toa Nuva. There's a lot of different Bionicle specific terms that may have been hard to understand. So in reintroducing the series, they're just going to stick with a little bit of changes to the same stuff. It still covers the same area. Onua is a Master of Earth. Onua is a Toa of Earth. Same thing. It's just a little easier for kids to understand. So what we see with this one, we get to see Onua with some pretty cool ideas. He's got not only some, the traditional black color with him, but also has some gold, some purple, some kind of, not really sure what that is. I'm going to say it's probably some kind of blue. Not really sure why they have that, especially with just one part, not even among other things. Now, with this set, we also get his golden mask, which is great because it's a reference to the original series in which the Toa were looking for, they were looking for the golden masks of their type. So, nice reference to that. I've already seen a few reviews from the Three Virtues, and they have some of the ready-made Bionicle sets from the New York Comic-Con VIP section. So we also get to know in these sets, they have a gear function. The gear function looks pretty good with them and allows them to easily be, moving around and posed different ways. With this one, I would think that it's probably a little bit more obscured because we have these large armor pieces, which look cool, but may be hard to use. We also got this large hammer that he's carrying, so he doesn't have the claws he originally had. He doesn't have the chainsaws he originally had. I'm trying to think what he had after that. He has some kind of launcher, and now he has a hammer. I mean, I guess it works because it's Earth hammer, maybe. Well, I think I can go with it for now, but I would prefer to see something a little bit different. We also get to see a skull spider on the bottom corner, which is included with each of these Toa sets, as well as the, I guess they're Taraga, the protectors. I'm not really sure how it's going to translate. It's easy to figure out these, but the other ones I don't know, because they don't have the names. This one seems to have a brainstem on the back, so we get to have it light up a little bit when you hold it in the right light. I like the way the background is designed. That's pretty cool. And we also get to see on the top the Mask of Creation. Mask of Creation is not in any of these sets, as far as I know. Next up, we have set number 70783, the Protector of Fire. Now, this is very vague because we don't know how Protector is going to, how that translates to what we had before in Bionicle. Does it mean it's a Turaga? Does it mean it's a Matoran? I'm going to assume it probably means Turaga because there are 6 of them and they're, kind of specialized, but I don't really know at this time. If anybody knows any better, please let me know in the comments because I'm not really sure. And I'd like to know because I want to see how the timeline is going to connect a little bit. So what we get to see with this one, he has a multi-stud launcher on his shoulder. This is a new piece for 2015, which will also appear in other Bionicle sets and also in some of the Star Wars sets. We have a skull spider on the top in a different color from the last one we saw. The skull spiders don't really have much appeal to them. They're pretty simple, and from what I remember reading for the reviews of the Toa, the masks are easier to pull off because the brainstem acts as a release button, and you can also clip on these skull spiders. So I imagine there's some sort of like parasite, or maybe they're like, oh, this would be right. They're like the Borok from, well, actually, they're even like 2001 series, because the infected Rahi masks would attach onto Toa and therefore make them infected. The Krana from 2002 would attach onto Toa and control them. Also, the same happened in 2003 with the Krata. Yeah, we're pretty much going again with this infection theme, but it's okay because it has a new idea to it, and I actually like how these are attached. Now, getting back to the thoughts of this figure, this one seems to have some odd weapons. I like the idea of the flame with it, but it seems like a weird way that he's holding it. Some kind of slanted weapon, like he's holding a knife some weird way. I don't know exactly how it's supposed to be, and it's a little hard to tell. But I don't think the protectors have that gear function in the back. I can tell mainly by this piece right here on the shoulder. This one seems to just end at this point and doesn't continue much. It just attaches to the rest of the body, and you just move the arms in different ways that you want them to. It's interesting, though. Next, we have 70782, the Protector of Ice. Now, with these protectors, they do look very similar from each other, with a few changes of their color or some of their armor. The masks on them seem similar, just different colors on them. We also get to see, again, they have the multi-stud launchers. This one has it as part of his weapon on his hand, so it is cool that way. And cool because, yeah, he's ice. I know, I keep making that joke out of nowhere. No pun intended. Whatever. So, this one also has in his other hand a movable saw blade. You can tell by the gear in the back. And we also have a skull spider with it. Don't have much really to say for this one, but I do like the way the weapons are distributed between the two hands. It does provide some unique opportunities for using them, as opposed to having two of the same. I know sometimes two of the same actually works out better than, two different ones. Or if you have one big one that's across two hands, like Toa Inika Nuparo, he had like a giant gun. As far as the prices between these, I would estimate that the Toa are probably going to be... It's hard to tell by piece count because Bionicle pieces and Lego pieces are not the same size, are not the same make, and, there are less pieces in a Bionicle set than in a Lego set, but they could, have different prices. So I would imagine that the Masters are going to be somewhere around... I would hope they're somewhere around $12, maybe less. And then the Protectors are probably going to be somewhere around $8. Trying to equate that with part of what we've seen in Hero Factory, where some of the larger and more complex creatures were made, around the $12 range. Next up, we have the Protector of Earth. So this one, that's actually the most interesting body I've seen so far. His stud launcher is in the middle of his torso. That's kind of funny and kind of weird at the same time. He's just shooting from his torso. I mean, I don't know how I feel about that. Um, I don't know. Kind of interesting. We get to see a lot of purple on him for some reason. Again, kind of why does Onua have some purple too? I guess they want to try to make it so it's not as dark. I don't know. But we also get to see some shoulder armor on him. He's got a very weak weapon on his hand. Why couldn't he just put that there? The 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 multi launcher on there. We also get to see in his other hand he basically has this large spiked piece, and we also get the skull spider. Now, as far as all these builds, they are mostly made from Hero Factory parts. Um, Now that's okay. I personally think that looks okay for right now, because think about when Hero Factory started. They had a lot of Bionicle parts that they used until the Hero Factory line started to develop its own unique stuff. So that's probably going to be the same thing with Bionicle. Plus, but it's probably not going to go back to the way Bionicle used to be. It'll probably be like 2006 onward Bionicle instead of, prior to 2006, because they want to make the builds easy and understandable for kids while still making cool, poses and actions with them. And next up, we have 70780, the Protector of Water. This one is actually pretty interesting because it has one of those weapons I talked about earlier across two hands. This one not only has spikes on it, but also has the multi-stud launcher, and it has these two turbines for helping it swim. Kind of a cool thought. I like how the turbines are in this new color, and I think that's all I can really say there. It is a kind of cool idea for this being there. You can imagine somebody just swimming along with this giant machine gun in two hands underwater, I don't know. And we also got a skull spider. You know that. Next up, we have 70779, the Protector of Stone. Now, this one only has one weapon, again in both hands. This one is a giant staff that rotates and has a stud launcher. That's kind of a cool idea. I really like how that one is pulled off. Now, I noticed with this one, it has a skull spider with 5 legs. The other ones had 4 legs. Let me see if I can go back to the other one. Yeah, that was only 4. This one has a 5th one on the back. Maybe it's some kind of stinger because it's in a desert environment. And I also like how the background looks in some of these. I know I've disregarded some of that, but look at that. You got some houses underwater. Got some nice little houses over here. These are kind of like the designs that I remember seeing in 2001 for where the Matoran lived. It's good. It's a cool thought. And also, this is a new packaging for these sets, newer than the ones we've seen for Hero Factory. I think this is kind of like a tougher material. It's not like that baggy material. So we'll have to see how that goes a little bit later. It's kind of interesting on the rest of the body, but not much can be seen here. But I do notice it has a lot of green. Probably the same principle as Onua, in which it wants to try to have a little bit of difference in color instead of just the main brown. But we have silver. There's a whole bunch of silver in there, right? Next up, we have 70778, the Protector of Jungle. Of the jungle? Of jungle? I don't know. But in this one, we can also see a skull spider, kind of a similar color to the last one. It doesn't really show if it has a 5th leg, though, or stinger, whatever you want to call it. I do, again, like the detail on here with the treetops and, well, not treetops, but the houses next to the trees. He doesn't know where he's shooting because the monster's behind him. And he has like a crossbow. That is definitely a crossbow with a machine attachment. That is a cool idea. I like how that one is done. And probably has a second handle here so you can turn this piece, turn it all the way through, and this might spin a bit. I'd like to see that. That one is actually a little bit more interesting in color. I mean, I may be biased because I like green, but I like the mix between the green and yellow and a little bit of blue here. Plus the crossbow function just looks neat. Now I have to go a little bit further down to find the rest of them. Is this in stores yet? Let me know in the comments because I'm looking for it. And last time I went to Toys R Us, they didn't tell me if it was in stores or when it would be. I'm gonna have to look down here for a little bit, trying to find. Wait, is there another? No, never mind. It was somewhere down here. There were more Bionicle sets. Maybe I'll try to look back up here. No, not that far. Sorry about that. Sorry about all the running around. But there are more images of the Toa. They were just released, long before the pictures I just went over. I just have to go find them. So slight delay on there. Ookie. I have them. Onepu I want to reassemble. I only have the mask, but I want to get the rest of him. Alright, bring me to the year. Come on. So we have 13 that are coming in 2015. That's not bad. Because that's 6 protectors, 6 masters, and then 1 villain. I remember reading about that. Alright, so we went over those. Okay, the next one we have is set number 70784. Lua, Master of Jungle. This one's interesting. He has 2 weapons. I can't tell if they're spears or if they're something for flight. They might be. They look like they could be used for flight because they have that wing structure on the top of them. Although I could be wrong, they could just be double axes or something. But which is also a neat idea. This one again, the masters have the turning gear function in the back of them, and it's actually a pretty cool function. And some of the figures, I don't remember which ones, but some stationary arm. So only one arm will turn with the gear, and the other one you could just move manually, so you can have it pose different ways. This one looks a little bit basic in its design, but it doesn't look like it's going to interfere too much in terms of the chest armor, for the gear function. I like how it's done. Maybe a little bit more armor on the sides though, so it's not too bulky down here, and not as bulky enough up here. Nothing really to say for this guy. I don't know as far as the gold one yet. Next up we have 70785. This is Pohatu, Master of Stone. And this one is interesting. Why is he carrying boomerangs? I mean, I'm thinking about the weapons that he's had before. In 2001 to 2003, his weapon was his foot. Literally. The way that he was built was completely upside down of every other Toa. It's his foot. And that was actually pretty cool. It made him more unique, and then over time they kind of changed it a little bit to look like, the other ones. As far as his mask, I noticed his mask is actually very similar to the Mystica series, or Fantoka, Mystica, whatever it's called, of Bionicle. So that is interesting. I'm actually disappointed in this one for color because it has so few brown and a lot of gray and white. Why? I just, he needs a little bit more brown to identify himself better. That's why I didn't like about it. That's why I'm not liking about him so far. I also noticed he has an extra spear or something in the back. I know that's a piece from the Rakshi, but I don't know why it's hanging out there. And this one also has the stinger on the back. So maybe some of these spiders can sting, even though they can't reach that far forward because, it's just going to stab itself. Next up, we have 70786, Gali, Master of Water. Or Gali. Gali? I don't know. But this one seems to have some webbed feet on the bottom. Some little attachment on there. So that is interesting. We get to see her mask. I haven't really said much about the masks, how they equate to, the older masks. Except I said it for Pohatu mainly. And I'll say it more for some of the other figures. But, I don't really know. They look very new, and I don't think they really seem reminiscent of the older Toa. This one just has a spear. It's really basic, kind of on the low side. She used to have hooks. She used to have She had a blaster at one point. What else did she have? She had like these two harpoon things. I'm not really sure what they were called, but they acted also as flippers. But they were really cool. This spear, just too basic. Now we got a little bit of shoulder armor on here, and I think it'll work well still with the gear function. Then we got the last, well, actually we have three more. I was going to say last two, but there's three more. Next up, we have 70787. Not enough sevens, are there? Tahu, Master of Fire. I will tell you right off the bat, I'm getting Tahu and Kopaka first. That is a tradition that I had when I started with Bionicle with my brother, when he was into Lego a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. He and I bought Tahu and Kopaka. I had Tahu, he had Kopaka. And in 2001. Then 2002, we bought, I had Tahu Nuva, he had Kopaka Nuva. It just kind of worked out like fire and ice. They were the most interesting to us of the six at the time. And then I think it was 2003. I got Toa Metru Vakama, which was fire, and then he got Toa Metru Nuju, which was ice. So it's kind of a tradition right now, and I know he's not into it anymore. But for me personally, I'd like to buy Tahu and Kopaka first to keep up the tradition. And they're the characters I really like the most as far as personality, with any of the six. I still like the others, but they're the ones I like the most. Let's get on to the actual figure, shall we? You don't want to hear my life story, do you? All right, so what we have here, I really like how the mask is done. This one is a little bit more reminiscent of the older Tahu How masks. So I do like how that one is put together for both of them. We also get to see he has a lava board, which looks pretty awesome. I mean, that's a staple thing with Tahu. He always used his two flame swords as a lava board. And with this one, we get the lava board, which we could use them as a weapon too, or we could just have these smaller blades. Smaller blades may not be much, but if you're going to be riding the waves, might as well use something else. I really like how this one looks, and I'm excited to get it. Next up, we have 70788, Kopaka, Master of Ice. I already mentioned I'm getting him first, and with Tahu, but I'm really looking forward to how this one is. He has a spear, which is unusual, though, because in the past he's had a sword, and then he had, like, this staff, which could be converted into ice blades. It still seems like he could do the ice blade thing, because he has the same pieces as Tahu, if you look right here. Let me try to move these pictures around. There we go. You can see the pieces here are the same ones here, just in a different color and element. So that way we'll be able to have some sort of maybe function with him, but it's kind of weird though, because he has this used as a shield. It is a staple thing of Kopaka, but it's a weird shield. You would imagine it would be a little bit wider so he can defend himself better, but this one is just longer. And yeah, it could do good in some cases, but he could still hit around from the side, So, I don't know. I guess he'll have to make do with what he's got. He does have a lot of upper shoulder armor, which may be in the way a little bit. I don't actually know for certain, but I'm just, trying to be curious about, will it affect the gear ability with some of these figures. He has some a little bit of printing, I noticed, on his legs. That's kind of interesting. And his mask is just well done. I think it's well done compared to the first mask that he had. And then last but not least, we have 70790 Lord of the Skull Spiders. This is claimed to be, I guess, the creator of the Skull Spiders, which are in every single set we've seen thus far. This one even has a golden, plate for the Skull Spiders. I don't know exactly what it's for or why it has that, but it is interesting. And I'm not really sure how this one's going to function. It doesn't seem to have the same body type as the other, figures that we've seen. So whether this one has some gear movement, I don't know. You probably have each of the arms, each of the legs posable on their own. It does have an interesting look to it, and I would like to see if it has any actual play features. If it has anything that it shoots out, if it has anything that it moves with a gear, Does it have a rapid fire silk spinner? I don't know. I want to see something interesting with this one. It is mysterious and at least gives us an idea of the villain. So, thank you for watching this video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Let me know in the comments what you think about the Bionicle 2015. If you have been a fan of Bionicle, would you continue with this? If you haven't been a fan of Bionicle, is this seem appealing to you? Whether or not it's over Hero Factory, does this seem appealing to you? I mean, I'm sure we can argue about Hero Factory and Bionicle for a long time, but just face the reality of what's happening now. So thanks for watching this video, and we'll see you next time with more LEGO videos.